The sound of spray cans rattling at 6 in the morning isn't usually part of my daily routine. Most days I wake up to birds, or maybe the garbage truck. But that day, that metallic rattle hit me just before the unmistakable cackle of my neighbor, Karen, rang out across the yard sharp and triumphant, like she'd just cracked some suburban true crime case. I peeked through the blinds, and there she was in all her glory, floral robe, bedhead and fuzzy pink slippers, arm up like the Statue of Liberty, except her torch was a can of neon pink spray paint, and she was tagging my truck with the word junk in letters big enough to read from space. But here's the real kicker. She wasn't just spray painting some rusty old pickup. That truck was an active, fully operational bomb squad vehicle refitted for civilian use, disguised to blend in. But every inch of it still government property, and every part of it federally tracked. She was out there live streaming her little crusade for her 3,000 TikTok followers, hamming it up like she was about to be crowned queen of the cul-de-sac. I couldn't decide what was more explosive, what she'd just done to the truck, or what was about to happen to her life when she realized just how far she'd overstepped. I walked outside just as she finished dotting the exclamation mark on trash, posing for her camera with this wild, raccoon-satisfied grin. She looked up at me, not a hint of guilt, just that smug self-assurance that only comes from years of being the unofficial sheriff of the block. "You're welcome," she says, waving the can at me like a mic drop. Some of us actually care about property values. I didn't yell. I didn't even argue. I just smiled and told her, "Karen, you just spray-painted a federally commissioned EOD unit." At first she just scoffed, rolled her eyes, but you could see it hit her right there in the driveway, the realization sinking in faster than a lit match in a fireworks tent. The smile disappeared. Her hand dropped, and she suddenly looked like she'd walked onto the wrong movie set. Now I'd seen Karen's antics before. She once tried to fine a family for sidewalk chalk, and another time tried to get a wind chime confiscated because it was too melancholy. But this was criminal. That truck, the one she tagged like she was in some rebel art show, was government property tied to active bomb disposal operations. She stormed off with her phone still recording, probably already plotting her next move or maybe crafting a TikTok apology in her head. I headed inside, fired up the home security system, and scrolled through the footage. There she was, her muttered insults, sloppy pink graffiti, her final pose like she'd just changed the world. But then I noticed something else. Just before she left, she leaned down and taped something to the back hatch, a box wrapped in tin foil and duct tape. Probably a prank. But when you work with bomb squad equipment, anything out of place sets off every alarm bell in your head. Before I even got to the truck, my phone rang. My federal handler's voice was clipped and all business. "Secure the area, stay put. Response team is on the way." The truck's internal AI had already flagged the unknown object and sent a full alert to headquarters in D.C. Karen had just triggered a chain reaction bigger than she could ever imagine. When the response team showed up, Karen was back in her garden watering petunias like nothing happened. The device was, as it turned out, just a Bluetooth speaker wrapped in tape, apparently set to play whale noises for cleansing the space of negative energy. Yeah, you can't make this up. But the fact she'd taped anything to a bomb squad truck was enough to kick off a full investigation. And because she live-streamed the whole thing, federal systems flagged her video, the plate number, the vehicle ID, all broadcast to thousands of strangers online. It didn't take long for the local HOA enforcer to roll up in his golf cart badge pinned on like he was patrolling the Super Bowl. He glanced at the truck, handed me a citation for visual non-compliance, and informed me that my vehicle didn't fit the community aesthetic. I asked if the rules said anything about federal property and national security. He told me not to get cute and to take it up with Karen. That's when I realized this wasn't just about Karen. The whole HOA system was built to prop her up, convinced their little book of bylaws could override actual law. I handed over everything to the agent's footage, truck specs, alert logs. Karen strutted around like she'd just saved the block, no clue that her video was already a case file in some government server. Her TikTok, though, that was her undoing. She not only vandalized the truck on camera, she mocked the armor and bragged about getting away with it all while revealing identifiers that were supposed to be classified. The irony was rich. She was the one always calling the cops on kids for riding skateboards, but now she was the neighborhood menace. That night, as the federal agents left, one handed me a warning slip for Karen official notice not to tamper with the vehicle again. I knew she'd ignore it. Karen's never met a rule she didn't want to rewrite for herself. I sat on the porch with a cold drink looking at the truck. The pink paint glowed under the porch light. I left it there for now. That word junk would be the start of the end, not just for Karen, but for every bit of fake power she thought she had. Next morning, 2 men in black suits, sunglasses, and federal badges knocked on Karen's door. Her face rollers and her hair slippers, flapping garden hose still running, said it all. The agents were polite but direct, asking about deleted videos, who planted the device, why she'd vandalized a military vehicle on camera. She tried to blame a neighbor, call it a joke, but the footage didn't lie. They didn't arrest her that day, just took her phone and laptop for evidence. But the neighborhood was buzzing, some folks angry the feds were here, others quietly thrilled that Karen might finally get her comeuppance. But the HOA doubled down. Their president, Harold, who, no surprise, is Karen's brother-in-law, sent me an official letter claiming military-grade equipment violated our community's visual harmony agreement. I sent it straight to my federal handler, who literally laughed and told me to let them dig their own grave. State law forbids HOAs from interfering with federal contractors. He told me to save every letter, every email, every voicemail. Let them make this a textbook case, he said. Meanwhile, something unexpected happened. The neighborhood kids started asking about the truck. So I gave a little demonstration, showed them the heavy-duty tires, the robot arm compartments, nothing secret, just enough to let them know it was more than just a truck. Parents watched, and I could tell a few of them started rethinking whose side they were on. Karen, though she wasn't done. With her phone confiscated, she went online using an old iPad and a neighbor's Wi-Fi, blasting the Facebook group with claims she was being targeted by government shills, spinning tales about being baited into vandalism, accusing me of setting her up. Her most loyal cronies pushed for an emergency HOA meeting to vote out the security threat, aka my truck. I was invited to defend myself at the community center. I agreed, but I had a plan. My agency handler asked if I wanted someone there. I said yes, just don't show up in uniform. Let them think I was still alone. The night before the meeting, a note slid under my door. She's not done. Sure enough, my camera caught Karen pacing by the truck in the dark, whispering into her phone, staring at the vehicle like it might blink back. I realized it wasn't about the truck anymore. This was personal. What Karen didn't know was that the feds had found something bigger. Her TikTok archive included a short pan across her husband's office with stacks of HOA records in view. Among them, a ledger showing her husband Harold was siphoning HOA funds for home upgrades, new deck, a luxury hot tub, all under community safety expenses. So while Karen wrote her speech about my threatening truck, federal agents prepped a different set of questions for her and Harold. The HOA meeting was a circus, flyers everywhere. Neighbors packing the room, Karen at the front sipping bottled water like she was about to be crowned. She spun her usual story, describing the truck as an abandoned threat, painting herself as a hero, calling for a motion to have the vehicle removed. I stood up calm and said I'd like to show a short video. The HOA president tried to object, but the federal agent beside me, business casual, blending in, raised his hand. We'll allow it. The room went silent as footage played, Karen in her robe spray painting my truck, her live commentary echoing through the speakers. Then the video shifted to the truck's surveillance AI detecting and reporting the device, the federal alert logs popping up on screen. I explained this was an active bomb squad vehicle, federally registered, protected by law, exempt from HOA rules. Karen's act wasn't just vandalism, it was interference with national security equipment. The agent beside me added, the Department of Homeland Security is still reviewing the legal implications. You could have heard a pin drop. Then came the second video, Karen's TikTok, showing the office ledger, the financial discrepancies. Gasps spread, neighbors whispered, a few even left in shock. Karen snapped, accused me of setting her up, but nobody listened. The agent gently explained the legal reality. No one indicted yet, but subpoenas had been issued, investigations ongoing. That night, Karen didn't go home through the front door. She slipped out back, escorted by Harold, looking like he'd aged a decade in one night. And just like that, the balance shifted. Neighbors who once avoided eye contact now waved, stopped to chat. Even offered me a beer on their porch, admitting they'd misjudged me. Karen became a ghost, no morning patrols, no angry letters. Her megaphone silent. Within a week, the HOA board voted Harold out as president. The association's bank accounts were frozen. People started talking about accountability, about how they'd let power get so twisted for so long. The feds charged Harold with wire fraud and embezzlement. Karen faced obstruction charges, her social media campaigns, her lies, all part of the case. The day news vans rolled through, snapping photos of Karen's now quiet house. I parked the truck a little more prominently. The pink spray paint faded but visible. It wasn't a threat, it was a reminder. A week later, a box arrived at my door. No return address, just a custom magnetic decal that read, "Not junk. Justice." I slapped it over the old paint and smiled. Karen eventually moved out. No word, no goodbyes, just a for sale sign on her lawn and a new family moving in complete with the pink flamingo she left behind. The new neighbors found it hilarious, named it Karen, and told the story to anyone who'd listen. Months later, the neighborhood was different, more open, more honest, and a little less afraid. The truck was still there, still federally registered, but now it was just a truck. No drama, just a symbol that regular people don't have to be bullied. I didn't win by fighting dirty or shouting or getting revenge. I just told the truth, kept my head down, and let the systems meant to protect us do their job. Karen. She built her empire on intimidation and spray paint, and in the end it all came undone. Not because I destroyed it, but because the truth finally caught up to her. And sometimes that's all you really need. If you've ever dealt with a power-hungry HOA or had to stand up to a bully, drop your story below. Let's talk about what justice really means and who gets to decide what's right in a community.